that's the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thumbs if you did, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time. Hey, how's it going guys? This is Dave2D and this is the 2017 Inspiron 7000. So the model last year, the 7559, was a huge hit, $800 gaming laptop that kind of hit most of the points pretty well. It was just a really good budget gaming laptop. This model, the 7567, it's been redesigned. The exterior is a little bit different. The interior is revamped, new hardware, new Kaby Lake chips, new GTX 1050 cards, but the price has stayed the same. Let's take a look. So it's red and black again, or kind of like dark gray. But I actually like this design. It's got this sleek, minimal look going on, and the red accents aren't in your face. They're angled away or hidden behind grills, but if you still want to go super red, they have that option as well. So last year's model was already a very solid feeling device. The new one is equal, if not better, in build quality. Everything feels sturdy, there's very little flex on the screen and chassis. The one weakness I would say would be this hinge. It's built well, I'm not seeing any play here, but the hinges are positioned closer to the center like this, so there's more opportunity for it to twist every time you open it up. There's soft touch plastic again. I was worried about this last year because when you scratch it, it leaves a mark, but it seems to hold up nicely if you're careful. It does show fingerprints pretty easily though. It has a standard port selection for the price point. There's 3 USB 3s, HDMI, audio, Ethernet, and an SD card slot. There's no USB-C port, so there's no Thunderbolt 3. It's super easy to get inside. Single screw and you get 2 RAM slots. It's now running DDR4 memory, so speeds are a little bit faster, and you can go up to 32 gigs because of this. The 2.5-inch SATA drive is here, and there's an M2 slot for a second drive. Both of these drives are replaceable and or upgradable. The battery is pretty big, it's 74 watt hours, and I'll get you around 6 hours of battery life of normal use. If you're playing games, it's closer to an hour and a half. This uses a 1080p TN panel. It's the same panel as the 2014 Lenovo Y50, and it's not very good. It doesn't get very bright, and the color accuracy out of the box is weak. Calibration makes it better, but the viewing angles are poor. There's a very noticeable color and contrast shift when you tilt the screen both up and down and left and right. Now keep in mind that this is an $800 laptop with a GTX 1050 in it. They gotta make some compromises to sell it at that price, and in this particular case, it's the screen. It's not that the screen is like super bad or anything. I've definitely seen worse, but because of how good the rest of the hardware is, this sticks out as being the weakest link. So if you really need a good screen, you gotta upgrade this thing to the 4K panel. It's obviously more expensive, but you gotta do that if you can't stand a mediocre screen. The webcam up top is 720p, looks okay. The keyboard feels really similar to last year's model. There's nothing I really dislike about it. The layout is good, backlighting is red, keys feel pretty comfortable, a little stiff on the response. You have to tap harder than normal, but it's a very good keyboard overall. There's one issue that's not really related to the keyboard itself. It's this bottom left corner. So it's pretty pointy. My natural resting position doesn't hit it, but if you have big forearms or if you have like a wide resting position for your left arm, this might bug you. The trackpad is good, it uses Windows Precision drivers, I like seeing that, but it's a plastic surface again, not glass. The tracking is decent, it performs fine, it just doesn't feel premium, but the thing that makes this trackpad good is the click mechanism. It has good pressure activation and it's a very snappy click, it's satisfying to use. When I'm playing games, my palm sometimes makes contact with the trackpad, but the palm rejection software works well. Okay, so for $800, you're getting a Kaby Lake i5 and a GTX 1050. And if you want to bump that up to the 1050 Ti, it's an extra $100. And then if you want the i7, like the quad-core i7, it's $50 on top of that. Now, it doesn't matter, all of these are kind of like decent purchases, but I would highly recommend trying to get the 1050 Ti because that's just a good value for what you're getting in terms of gaming performance. So compared to the 960M from last year, the 1050 is about 25% better, and then the 1050 Ti is another 25% on top of that. So playing on that chip at 1080p, lighter games like Overwatch will comfortably float over 100 frames per second on high graphics. Bumping it up to Ultra will still get you over 60 frames per second. Titanfall 2 also runs near 60 frames per second on high graphics on the 1050 Ti, but basically most modern titles, as long as they're optimized, can hit 60 frames per second with very nice looking image quality at 1080p. If you want to know more about these video cards, be subscribed and watch my next video. There's also something pretty special there. The thermal management is fine, there's no real CPU throttling during games. Idle fan noise is pretty quiet and isn't too bad even on load, but there's no option to manually control it. It's done automatically. Surface temperature is also comfortable. There's no nasty hotspots that I could see. Speakers are not bad. There's a pair up at the front behind the red grille with a sub on the bottom. They're pretty loud and the lower frequencies from the sub are present. Like, it's not super powerful bass or anything, but you can tell that it's there. Alright, with the Inspiron 7567 from Dell, we're looking at a budget gaming laptop that uses a lot of plastic but has surprisingly good build quality. The 1080p screen is a TN panel that looks decent head-on, but has poor viewing angles and doesn't get very bright. The backlit keyboard is a little stiff, but it has a good layout. The trackpad is solid. Inside, the Kaby Lake CPU options and the GTX 1050 or 1050 Ti deliver very good gaming performance for the money and are well cooled. The RAM and the 2 drive slots are incredibly easy to access for upgrades after purchasing, and the 74 watt-hour battery gives you around 6 hours of battery life. So here's the deal. For $800, you're getting a device that can play most games at 1080p at 60 frames per second or higher with really good image quality. And if you want to, you can pay that extra $100, so that's what, 10-12% more money for 25% more performance with the Ti. So if you want to do that, I mean, I would kind of steer most people towards getting a 1050 Ti, but if you can't, the base model is still really good. Overall, great device, great components aside from the display, great build quality, good performance, good value. I think they did a really good job on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you did, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.
You guys loved our review of the Dell Inspiron 7559 from last year, where I gave it a solid recommendation for its wolf in sheep's clothing, wicked gaming performance, and its understated looks, not to mention price. Now, over the last year, Dell has been hard at work tweaking that formula, and they've even gone as far this time as to include gaming in the product name. But have those tweaks actually added up to anything substantial? Let's check it out. Browse privately and securely with TunnelBear, the simple VPN app. Try TunnelBear for free at the link in the video description. The Inspiron Gaming has a red matte finish with mean-looking triangles on the front and the back. Hexagons are very 2016, as I've been recently informed. It mostly avoids an over-the-top look like some gaming laptops, but it is red, though if that's too shouty for you, there's a black version available as well. It's clear that thinness wasn't a top priority for Dell here. With lesser specs than the latest MacBook Pro, it's nearly double the thickness. But, assuming they used the extra space for cooling, I can't be too critical, especially if the intent is for users to game on it for long periods at a time. The build quality is great for a budget segment laptop. The chassis feels solid and the screen flex is about what you'd expect. Opening the lid is easy, and the hinge moves smoothly. If you took this thing 10 years back in time and told someone it costs less than $1,000, they wouldn't believe you. We've come a long way. The I/O is more traditional than most laptops these days as well. It's unlikely that you'll have to reach for a dongle. Though, I will say, at least having the option for a Type-C or Thunderbolt port on a premium config would have been welcome. Our model is not the cheapest, but it hits a really nice sweet spot with just enough of pretty much everything for gaming, and without spending extra money on an i7, for example, that doesn't make games run faster. I mean, that money could go towards buying books or beer. And gaming performance is really solid. The included 60Hz TN panel looks pretty good for a TN, with above average viewing angles from side to side, again for a TN. And on high settings at 1080p, which happens to be its native resolution, This laptop plowed through our test lineup comfortably, meaning that in between homework and Facebook, you should be able to run modern AAA titles without issue, thanks in no small part to the strong performance of the Inspiron Gaming's cooling system. During our i264 stress test, it was not only able to keep the CPU at a relatively comfortable 80 degrees, but the i5 was able to use its turbo boost the whole time too, meaning performance won't dip after a couple of minutes of gaming. It was far from silent, but wasn't disruptive, and it's much quieter than a thin and light gaming machine like a Razer Blade. And if that sounds good to you, you'll be happy to know the speakers are better than you might expect as well. The internal subwoofer doesn't add as much depth to the sound as the subs in their XPS laptops several years ago did, but overall clarity is good until some distortion creeps in at nearly full volume, as long as you're right in front. They're highly directional. So, if a diminished off-axis movie watching experience is a real turnoff for your friend, you might not be doing any chilling while you Netflix. Though, even if you have to be by yourself, at least you'll be doing it for a long time. Battery life came in at a very impressive 6 hours and 48 minutes, one of the best results we've ever seen in our PCMark work benchmark. And more good news, just like its predecessor, it's easy to get inside. All it takes is one screw. Okay, I'll stop that now. And as an SSD-only model, ours has a completely free hard drive bay with mounting hardware and a cable included, as well as an empty RAM slot. Dell really couldn't make this any easier. Moving back to the outside, the keyboard feels very similar to previous Inspiron models, but nicer. The keystrokes are short with a pleasant click and avoid being mushy. Spacing is a strong point, and there's a full numpad with appropriately laid out arrow keys. The red backlighting isn't bright enough to be having an Inspiron-inspired dance party with it or anything, but it's functional. And if you're actually in the dark, you'll be able to read the keys. Can't complain. The trackpad is also quite good. The feel of the click isn't super consistent from the top to the bottom, but it performs accurately at high sensitivity settings, and it does a great job of figuring out when I have my thumb at the bottom for clicking, as opposed to when I'm trying to use multi-touch. Now let's talk about what you are not getting with a value model like this. The first unfortunate compromise is the 1x1 Wi-Fi, giving me a maximum speed of around 20 megabytes per second in my data transfer test. So if you want fast downloads, you will have to wire in. The storage is also rather slow. It is an M.2 drive and it is an SSD, but it runs at SATA speeds, not PCIe speeds. And finally, the screen is far from the most vibrant and high contrast that I've seen. Now that IPS is the standard, even a decent TN looks washed out by comparison. So who is
So, Magnus, do you sell the box, the software? What's the Voiceless product? Do we hire magnets?
We are a software company,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
we're not selling resources.
Mhm.
We're not selling hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Only software.
So, do you have a number of cameras which you have
Can you hear me, Ronnie?
sort of certified for
Yeah.
stitching,
We have the sound here.
or is there like a
I don't
list
hear
of
on
cameras
headphones, but
which
we hear
work
it there.
with the Voiceless software, and some you're like, well, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I think the software.
How do you kind of
So,
qualify that?
actually, what We can go through that as well today if you want to, depending on how much time you have. But this is the calibration board we have.
Mhm.
So I would say that from the moment we get the new camera rig until it's working with the system, it's maximum 30 minutes.
Got it. So you basically have an automated calibration
Yeah.
to line up the parallax and the stitching with whatever it is with
Yeah.
these little space invaders here.
So the idea with our system is that, like this camera, for example, is very robust.
Mhm.
So the lenses will never move
Right.
from one position to another.
Yeah.
You just have to calibrate it once. And then you can go anywhere, and our auto
Right.
stitching will work very well.
Got it.
So that's why it's so easy to use that camera. So if we use, for example, a rig with Sony A7S cameras or something, and
Right,
move a little
yeah.
bit, you need to redo the calibration.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So therefore, I think that one could be really useful for YouTubers and such
Yeah.
people moving around a little bit and don't spend too much time.
Mhm.
But otherwise, any camera that is robust enough, or if you spend half an hour before the broadcast to do a new calibration.
And
But now
so
here you have the.
it stitches, it streams, it has tools for adding picture-in-picture WebKit, an external rectangular video source. You had a text generator, I think?
Well, that you need to solve in HTML5 at the moment.
Okay.
So you would need to. I think what we showed you was actually HTML5.
Sounds
We
good. It's just
changed-
picking up this fan
You were just
noise.
changing the.
So that's something you're doing in the player,
Right.
not
Uh,
in the video.
No,
You have the microphone
you would
coming
need
in off
some
there
kind
too.
of administration tool,
Mhm.
or
Not
you would
from
need
here.
to go into the HTML5
Um,
code itself that we have on
don't
this
think so.
computer.
But the characters aren't part of the video script.
No, it's not coming.
Well,
from-
It's taking the audio out of the.
Not that one?
yeah, we're burning them into the video.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are,
It's-
okay,
It's rendering an HTML5 page with a keyer, essentially.
I see, okay.
So the tools are, well, if you can make it appear in this web page with transparency, you can make it appear here.
Yeah,
Got it.
and you see here, that is HTML5 with transparency.
Right.
So showing that you can have transparency if you want to.
Mhm.
So I brought it just in case.
Do you have a ability to take pre-built graphics from Photoshop?
Oh yeah. So
Target files
it could
or
also
something
be
without the channel?
we can do, like, for example, if you do in a 3D modeling tool, and then if you can export a equirectangular, we can actually do that kind of pictures as well.
Mm.
Now it will sort of ruin this a little bit, but I have this. See if I do agile equirectangular image. So this is a, you see an equirectangular image actually on top of the other stuff here. But it all has to do with the distances and stuff, with whether you see it or not.
How to say? How do you figure out what the depth is? It's just it's built into the image, presumably.
No, actually the depth, we measure the depth, so that's how our automatic stitching works. So we measure the depth from the camera.
Oh, I see. But it's not possible for our video to be in front of that equirectangular image, is it?
No. Well, you can have pictures in front of it, but
Not the video. The video is still always the background.
well, depends on what you mean.
Well, actually,
But you
that-
see now, by playing with the size and the sort of the positioning, I can always get the picture visible on top of the video like this.
but this is this always in the front? Because Mike was standing here and this was covering his face.
Yeah, because it's burnt on top of the video. So we
Okay.
were discussing that. So you need to
Okay.
position those things in a smart way,
Yeah.
so you
I
don't
see.
get that problem. And usually what I do is that I put the rig a little bit above heads of people, so it's easier to position the videos.
I see, okay.
But if you can't do that, you need to put them somewhere else.
But you can determine 3D space, so you can measure something and put it in its
Put your
place. and then-
chairs over here.
No, you have to do that manually here. So you move objects around using our system to make them look good. That's a manual process. Yeah. So we don't track things in the real position.
No, I understand that, but because it's all locked off, but can you determine?
Yeah, but
There's
yeah,
some, this screen is here, therefore if somebody walks back here in front
No.
of them and then they.
no,
Okay, so you can't do anything like that.
no.
There's no depth
Then we would
perception.
have to. That would be very difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we can't do anything. Yeah.
Depth field
No.
compositing, like the crazy light field camera.
They've actually, I've seen guys doing it with Connect Bar.
Oh, right, yeah.
They can pull a key out of thin air using depth. We had a guy that was doing it here for.
So actually, what we could do is if I just delete that one again, and then I do add scene, and then I do I need to save them. And then and you see now we're still broadcasting.
Yeah.
And
a couple more seconds.
you see that's what we're broadcasting. So I can play with the preview window as
While
much
we're
as I
still
want.
rolling.
And until I press fade, it will go out on the live. So now I'm actually adding a new scene, saved it, and then I add a scene mirror from scene 1. So now exactly the same thing that we had in scene 1. And then I add this camera, a rectangular image.
My question, where's the mic?
It's in there. It's very sensitive. It's picking up that fan noise on the computer.
So and now
Is it just like, that
now I could fade this out. And I will see it here in a minute or so.
Right, it'll transition from one scene to another.
So the camera would be in that direction. And that one I usually use when I have like a one lens camera. So I put this backwards.
Oh, I see.
Then you get a feeling of being in. Now it's here. So then you get a feeling of being
Inside the camera.
inside the camera. So when you do things like the very close-ups with the 360, that could be useful. You have no stitches.
So this is sort of a TriCaster in a sense type of thing, meaning your whole show has to be done in the box.
Yeah. Or it
Dissolves
doesn't
your line cut.
doesn't have to be done in the box. For example, when National Geographic made that was the first Facebook Live broadcast. I don't know if you saw it. The Martian simulator or something it was called. So they were interviewing the people in the Martian simulator they have. You know, so they're like living like they were on Mars.
Yeah.
And then they had 3 experts on screens like this. So they brought them in on Skype.
Oh, right.
And then they used OBS to send the Skype to us, and we burnt them in. But they actually, from our system, we put just a black background, I think, and then keyed that out on the ATEM in the next step. So you can do different ways. We've also done productions where you use Nokia's stitchers, send those stitched videos to us. So we support a lot of different inputs like stitched videos over RTMP or over SDI. So you have many options actually how to set up your production.
Give an external audio.
Yeah, I do. True. Nice to meet you. So, what do you think? Should we sort of have a look at this, or should we wait for
No, this is it.
this is it?
Yeah,
So
this is the
Leebor's
this is the
stuck in
quorum.
traffic. He's
Yeah,
trying to
he's-
hurry and get here.
he's on
Oh,
his
okay,
way.
okay. Yeah. So then let me show you. Well, you've all seen this, right? What we're broadcasting. Anyone who wants to see it or? I thought I would show you what it's like to start this up, given that you have prepared. so let's say you prepare and you're going on site and then you start up, or even a technician maybe prepare a little bit on site for you, but you're like the producer starting it up. So then we
The URL, the usual.
and then you get the frame rate you're streaming at and the bandwidth you're streaming at.
Mhm. And so you said you're not selling any hardware. Looks like you're using Blackmagic for video capture.
Well, in this one we are actually mostly using Magewell.
Or Magewell? Yeah,
Yeah.
all right. They're the ones with the
So we have,
multi-HDMI.
I'll show you that as well, that for Blackmagic we have a native integration.
Okay.
So it's I would say it's a better integration in terms that when you select them it's sort of easier to find the sources
Mhm.
and stuff. For other capture cards we are integrated via it's called
Direct show or whatever.
Direct Show, thank you. So we integrated via Direct Show,
Mhm.
but it works pretty well. Okay, I would say.
So you're talking Blackmagic, you actually use their SDK?
Yeah.
Really?
We'll probably still run into the same label.
Well, that was the other question is, can we take external audio into this?
Yes.
Through the Blackmagic card?
Well, so I would say currently we do not support, audio in the sense that when you switch 360 camera, they can have different audio scenes as you have different video scenes.
Right.
So we sort of just input the audio at the end and we stream it to YouTube with the video.
Right. So you
Yeah,
can't switch scenes.
fine.
That's okay.
Our application would primarily be a music show,
Yeah.
in which case we
Yeah,
wouldn't
that-
want the
yeah,
PA
yeah.
system being
Yeah.
what the
Yeah, for that it's
people
fine.
hear through a.
For that it's
speaker,
fine.
a
That's what our
So-
customers doing all the time.
So we could pick audio off of the Blackmagic inputs,
Yeah, you could. I mean, we
or would
can,
you have a separate
you
kind
saw
of input card?
actually right now we have
Depends on the
input
card.
from the main room.
Right, from the HDMI one.
But it could be any.
Is there's
capture
an
card.
audio input on that? On the camera?
Yeah,
It has mic.
So that's the one we have.
Some
No, I
audio-
understand, but I mean, is there a line level input?
Oh, that I don't know. But
we
I
don't
mean,
wanna use the mic that's in the camera, because when
Okay.
you're in a music environment, nobody's gonna wanna hear that.
any sound card or the built-in sound card.
Can you guarantee sync over time with an external sound card?
Guarantee? I don't guarantee anything
Okay.
when it comes to sync.
It's probably the same issues that we
Yeah,
have.
it's the same thing,
Yeah,
it
it's gonna
needs
be
to be
some-
integrated in the video card, otherwise that's the only way to maintain sync.
Right.
We learned that fast, learned that, it's a very hard lesson when we did the FPS 60.
So well, you could use one of these Blackmagic converter boxes that integrate sound into the SDI.
So I could choose
That's
camera
okay.
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because the audio comes from camera
Yeah.
one, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
Because what you have to do
we
on
can
the
inject.
on Windows is to go to recording devices, and then you see you have the different capture devices here, and we are now on HDMI
Okay,
one.
Yeah, so that would be one way to do it,
Yeah.
so yeah. You'd have to add an embedder, throw down an embedder or something, but yeah, or Blackmagic will make some audio that's, yeah.
So unfortunately today we only have one camera position, but I assure you we can do the switching as well.
They're not frame syncs, so they don't actually have, in theory, they wouldn't have any delay. Right, because they're not waiting for
Could
a
actually
reference signal
use
to tell
one
it
of
when to
those.
start.
Right there.
The one that
Oh, I
works.
see.
Video in, video out.
But
right?
I
Yeah, just
didn't
use
work.
the audio and
It had a
there might be
Had that
there's probably
shadow.
sample rate converter.
You can still use it actually.
But that's
If you can, is it
probably
turned on?
microseconds.
Yeah, it's on.
Before it should be before the fact, right? It shouldn't retard the video at all.
No, if anything, it's gonna delay the samples of the audio to a little bit,
To match
you
the
know,
video.
yeah, and it would be a very small.
Subframe audio. Right. Okay. Yeah, not
A to D,
enough.
yeah, A to D conversion and D to A conversion is usually in the microseconds. It's
Not enough for people to
maybe
hey,
1 or 2 milliseconds. Yeah, but it's not gonna be a full, I would think, we'd have tested in theory, I wouldn't expect that.
So shall we do it from the beginning?
Sure,
So
sure.
you see how you build this up. And our user interface, it's not intuitive in any way. You're aware of that.
Okay.
So you actually need a training to get going with it, and you also need to work with it with some regularity, otherwise you forget about it a little bit.
Yeah, think like a programmer.
Oh, yeah, you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
need to
you have
make
to train every day.
You
No,
need to
but,
make some
uh,
YouTube videos of you showing us how to do it.
Yeah, we are doing tutorials, and we have a manual that is good. So you can always go by the manual in the beginning, but it's not sort of intuitive in a way that you just do it because you will forget stuff, unfortunately. And there are some special tweaks you need to do to make it behave in the way you want and so on. So let's just turn this down and. Now the stream status is good.
About 15 more seconds, we should see it on your phone.
Yep.
You guys are basically creating a sphere world that is 3D. It's actually a 3D space,
Yeah.
and you're mapping that on the sphere.
Yeah.
And now you need, the reason your entities need to be separate is because they're separate elements. You need to push them within the sphere to where you
Yeah.
And if you anchor them to the camera, that's not going to work. So you need, basically you have a stage with that's, the middle of the stage is like sort of at the center, slightly below the center of the sphere or something like that. But you're basically projecting it onto a sphere and then taking that. Okay, so that explains why you need the depth.
Yeah.
Because it's actually a 3D space.
So now you can look at the strange floor.
So much potential, I think, here.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're just waiting for the creators to do some nice stuff with it. So far, they have, just done this.
Yeah.
But I think you could do a lot of things. As I said before, for example, I would. We have a couple in Sweden, YouTubers that are very famous. I would like to sit, between them in the sofa, watching their old YouTube videos,
Yeah.
looking at them and looking together, or watching a TV program or something.
Yeah. I mean, it has great live implications, but I can see the creators literally utilizing the tool to generate 360 content here,
Oh, okay.
placing,
Okay.
different elements in here. What if we keyed somebody on a green screen? Can we implement them into this?
We don't have support for that right now,
Okay.
but I don't know how difficult it is. to key
What
out.
if it was like a video file that we fed in somehow?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
It's
it
the
was
key.
it was
It's the
pre-captured
keying you
pre-
can't do. You
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
calculate the key. Okay.
Oh.
So it doesn't matter if it's a green screen, a file or a camera.
Okay.
Wi-Fi.
The way you
and I,
use
and
it.
I
Very
don't, I don't
think
know
of
how
one way you
difficult
can
it
do
is with when you get close to objects and stuff.
Yeah.
With the antennas and stuff.
There's a company called Sky Micro. They make capture cards. They make them orientals.
Okay.
But they have FPGAs on the card. So they can actually pull the key on the card and then hand off key and pull the
That's like an easy way to do it.
That's why
To
I used
pay
to work with
for
a
it.
I used to work with a company called Hybrid. They were bought by Chiron. They did
What was
virtual
the name you said again?
Sky Micro.
Yeah,
They're here in
Wi-Fi's,
LA.
Wi-Fi is bad.
yeah, it's not doing so hot. Maybe that'll get bad luck.
Okay, but anyway, I think we did more or less
Mm-hmm.
that scene now. So, and the only thing that would be nice would be if we could quickly. Can we have the one that had a sharp picture? So I could show you how to set up a second camera.
Sure.
Is it
still on?
is it
Yeah,
running?
they should
Yeah.
still be running. Yeah.
So then you just click add scene,
Mm-hmm.
and then the first thing you need to do is to save it.
So is there a way to change the scene name that way as a quick reference as to,
Yeah. On
GoPro 2 rig and
on the alpha, this is a beta of our next version.
Okay.
I also have an alpha of the version after that
Right.
that has that capability.
I mean,
But
that
right
would-
now it doesn't.
that
and
would
that's
be
bad.
good if you don't have the option to see. I mean, I know you can pull up a preview at any time, but it would be a quick transition. I want this up next.
Yeah. So what we're working on the not on this version where I have the beta, but the next version is actually a mosaic with all the
Right, you were talking about
Yeah.
like multi-viewer output.
and then also support for a what do you call that, production keyboard, So you pick which one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Switcher controls.
and with a fade controller.
Okay.
So,
But should we wait for that one?
no, no. I mean, you can use this one, but it's just that that will be for when you have a producer that don't want to click and do
Yeah.
things on the
You
computer.
know what the producers
Yeah, so they have to. No, that's what I'm used to. That they're behind and they're just telling me what to do.
Assuming they know it.
Yeah. No matter if they do or
So
not,
then
but I
you
have to do it.
still have to execute it.
So, so in this case, I just call this single GoPro, and now we have to do the same thing. Root entity, add stitched video, even if it's only one camera.
Right.
Add input, and I think it was this one, right? So it's
It was, yeah, one was the
direct
good one.
show. I think it's this one. Can you get the on display of the?
The other one doesn't work?
No, the other one was soft. Very soft.
Hey, Libor, how do you do the,
So I do the cropping again here.
What are you gonna do?
get the on-screen display off?
Just leave it out.
We can have it. So there we have it. Then we need to do the calibration, and this is not something you should do while broadcasting. We will usually drop frames when you do the calibration,
So you want 3.
but I will do it anyway. And I think. Will you hold it? I think probably can do only like 2 pictures or something. Can hold it even closer, I think. Yeah. So maybe 4. One little bit more further down. Yeah, and then up, left, right. So I haven't clicked yet, so
Okay.
keep it there. So I will now I'm clicking capture. Yeah, we can move it. Yep. Yep. Done, and then do calibration. Now I think it should be fairly quick. Yeah.
Wow.
And we need to fix the horizon. Okay. And it should be something like
Like
that.
just like that, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can just fill that with something else right there. Can you,
Yeah, so now we can add this.
so you'd have to add something on top of it, right?
Yeah, so now I will actually add a. Yeah. It's not made for the GoPro. It's made for another camera, so it won't be perfect. But and now we can't see it, and that's probably because of the.
Oh, you did put that in post, yeah.
Oh, they did, yeah.
But that can be done here. Wow.
Why can't I see it?
Too far back? Or too far forward?
Yeah,
Like behind you?
probably. So I think if this value was very little, it should be visible. There it is. And now we need to click there.
What headset do you use to monitor out?
Sorry, my possibility to do 2 things at the same time is very limited. So what did you say?
Yeah, which headset do you use for your?
Live out?
Normally Oculus, but we do support HTC Vive as well. But
You
not,
can do
not
HTC Vive or?
yeah, but not with room scale movements. So. It's still behind. Let's see. I can't explain that. Probably put the GoPro video on a very close distance. I don't know. I wonder if I can change that somehow. And then we'll mess things up. I have to ask my colleagues about that. But in theory, you should put a rectangular picture on top of it to cover the black part. And now when you've done that, you could press fade. I will go out live. And of course, normally you would like the virtual screen to be on top here. And then, unfortunately, every video source can only be. I haven't tried with Direct but with Blackmagic, the video can only be sort of ingested one time. Probably we can do 2 instances of the web page though, but it will take 2 times the CPU power. So there is another trick to solve that, and that's to make a sort of a scene mirror, we call it. That's when you put only the virtual screen in the scene and with the transparency behind it, and then you can put it on several scenes. So then I would create a 3rd scene, move the virtual screen into the 3rd scene, and that put that scene on top of the others, and then I can sort of switch between the cameras, and the picture-in-picture would stay exactly on the same spot. So if the viewer is watching that one, it won't sort of jump away.
So this is really designed for a single person's experience, meaning many people can watch it, but they're not aware of each other.
Yeah.
It's like you in a room with the band by yourself.
But I would say, I mean, all the distribution platforms like YouTube and Facebook that don't have interactivity on the client, I guess. I mean, that's you have to build the interactivity on the client to make people interact with each other.
Well, they would never be seen unless you had avatars.
So the only thing you could do to make them feel like being part of something together is if you had like buttons and stuff, and the hearts moving around at Facebook or a Twitter feed in HTML5 here. So if you make HTML5 code that will fetch something that is feedback from the users, that could sort of create that feeling, and then you could build that on your player.
But you could.
You could have a bunch of stick figures that all have little bubbles that keep popping up all around you with their conversations, and have like bathroom symbol people.
Or at least, I think at Facebook, when they have these likes coming floating by, it's creating a feeling of, there are others watching this and I like it.
But no, you
That's also incorporated by Skype,
you use
right?
something like
You could.
high fidelity, and then you do a picture-in-picture with the high
Yes,
fidelity.
so that I don't know if you saw that Martian
I understand, but that's assuming they're
habitat
edgy.
simulation.
Yes.
Did you see that Facebook movie?
Yeah.
They have 3 Skype.
Right.
That was
But
done
you're talking about
without
these.
yeah.
You're talking about the where you had the individual
So,
people that
So
were
what you would do would run Skype on
with
one
their
computer
avatars,
and then
that were sort of facing the way they were looking
OBS
around,
to
right?
send it over
you
to
would have to get all
Twitter.
that metadata to make that avatar appear, and they would have to render it in those places.
No, because
You can also do that for anything like
You're
that,
getting
like
feeds
YouTube
from
Live or Facebook Live.
that stream.
Like an
So just another source
stream
coming in, so
where
picture whether you're pulling off
360
YouTube,
video,
you can hold that image.
Oh, I see. So it'd be like another screen.
So you can see
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm thinking is you would have
Oh yeah. So you
an
mean
actual like
you
a,
mean
Yeah,
your
yeah,
web
like
camera
a
would
little
go
Right,
into
you can go
it could be a
into
stick
it.
Yeah, if
whatever.
you-
It
if
doesn't
you
have to
build
be.
that on
Maybe
the
if they
app.
have their face on Facebook.
So,
their
so
Facebook
we're
share.
not building
But
it.
at least
Yeah.
you
We're
can
just
see
doing
the
the
chats.
production.
Instead
Yeah,
of
they
like,
could do that
so if
just
you
through
see
the
there were 1,000 people in the
they
room
could
chatting,
send
you'd see all these
that
little
and
stick figures
access
above these
that.
little bubbles above their head.
And
with
what
messages, and if you were looking at you, and I see your messages on your head,
actually,
there might be
Yeah.
40 people
No,
behind you
no.
with messages I can't quite read, but I'm having a conversation with you.
So if it's fetching, it's not using RSS though for the Twitter.
No.
No,
So you would
it's
put in
the-
RSS
The reason I
in
bring that up
HTML5
is
code.
that I don't think the experience would be
that's
very
why you
good if
can
you had a bunch of
support
people
RSS.
walking
Yeah.
around.
Oh,
Right.
it depends what.
Unless you
Like
put
there's some
everything
great
virtual,
possibilities.
completely out of
Again,
range.
it's all gotta be mapped out, so
Well, that's what I'm saying, there's no keyer, so
Yeah.
you could never have a situation realistically where someone could walk in front of something, because if they did, it would likely be in front of them, not, because they can't key, so there's no
Yeah.
keyer there to do that. I suppose if we did it on a green screen, the whole thing in here in a green screen, then people could walk around and you could create a whole VR environment that went along with the thing, but that's a lot of heavy
Yeah.
lifting.
So I think, I mean,
would think.
one way to sort of, if it's a concert where you actually, you won't be able to position the screen so you get a feeling that they're on the wall or something.
Yeah.
So what you could do is to add equirectangular graphics, so creating sort of a something
Additional
they get a
set.
yeah, you get a feeling of
So
this
let's
is
put
screen
it
is
so that
put
you like
on
our
something.
front lobby. So we set up basically a stage in front of the monitor wall. Above the monitor wall, we can literally put the band's name,
Yeah.
and then don't even have to use the screen, and just put another equirectangular frame into the screen, whether it be like album art or something else.
And then that person couldn't stand on the stage.
As long as it's above everybody's
their
head.
head.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because everyone's gonna be down below. The screen on the back of the screening room.
What about the band on the stage?
Oh, definitely.
I'm sort of thinking something like this, that
Yeah.
you know, this is the graphics and the screens are inside here,
Yeah. Right.
so that no matter where you put the camera, you won't feel like the screens are in a weird position.
Well, you could do a screen
It's
like
okay,
above,
like
downward, or
some
something like that, you know, all kinds of stuff that, it's part of your set, so you basically have a virtual set that you're filling with live people.
Hey,
and,
Chris.
you know, or augmenting, if you will.
Or the A2 that's on the landing, we can like put a fake wall or something.
Alright, so where are we gonna go get food from? Because I ain't eating fish.
What, they brought the DAF again?
You got it, Paul.
You got it.
We haven't had DAF in a while.
And then, so on this system, we never touch the stitching, right? It was totally automatic. And so if we move this camera now, it will stitch
Oh, we'll be
automatically.
fine?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
But
great.
but when he walked close to the camera now, we have like a time lapse on the auto stitching. So that's because otherwise we get some noise in the stitching. So to get rid of that, we have like a time lapse functionality. Time lapse, what do you call it? I would take like a you know, average over time. So it's not so quickly adapting to like a person passing by the stitch zone. But we can reduce that
Yeah.
time delay to get a faster stitching. So, for example, if you put it on a vehicle or something, you could put it to 0 and we stitch on every frame.
Can you get a wireless feed in, like from a vehicle?
Yep.
So just use something like a sphere, and then output that?
Well, you mean
So
the
we-
Teradek?
Yeah, turn it.
Well, I mean, since we can do RTMP, that could be a wireless or anything. But you could also do, of course, SDI over wireless, which is probably better.
Lied to you.
So it's just that you get so much delay.
Yeah.
Well, an RTMP would be almost worthless. The delay would be seconds.
Oh, many seconds.
Yeah, it would. I mean, you could do it as long as it's the only thing.
So I would buy
Right,
those.
you're just sort of using it.
Somebody skydiving out with a 360.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you get yourself a Yagi
I
antenna,
mean, but
you
there are
follow
very
that
good
around.
solutions for 1080 at least.
Yeah.
Wireless without delay. Or performance drop.
With delay.
So do you have any more questions on this? Now we didn't install it on your computer,
That's fine.
but you can do it yourself. Now you
Okay.
have
The motherboard you guys have in there is pretty hefty. It's heftier than what we're using here.
so what do you have on that machine?
I'm gonna guess it's similar to a 170. I don't know what
I
it is.
sent you the specs on that.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know how many PCI Express lanes the motherboard support?
No. Tyler Johnson that was here, he's doing a pretty robust computer as well.
So we're currently only running on Windows 10, but we are sort of the system is working on Linux and on Mac as well, but we're usually going to ship for Windows 10 when we test on. So the idea is to start supporting Linux when we have this Mosaic solution that you run on a server and you're just using your
Chris, do you reroll?
Yeah, we have to build it.
No, I like it. I couldn't use it earlier, so I
Just the same steps.
yeah.
so what we
It's a lot easier than
what we
I didn't find
There's
the
a
body
whole-
too terribly hard. It's just it
No,
doesn't
well,
look the
it was a
greatest.
lot of little idiosyncrasies you had to do to make it work right.
Well, that was because it was a brand new product.
I understand. The new version